they hired our competition, they can call our competition back to fix their.
Don't sell someone something they don't need.
I've seen entire roofs before that have no nails.
That's how we get paid. That's how we do our business with no deposits. That's how it all revolves around that.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Roofer2Roofer show. Today, we do have our panel of esteemed roofers. So we have Carney Freifogel, Scott Tebay, and John Starry will be joining us as well, just running a couple minutes behind. As always, if you have any questions, please pop them into that Q&A there, as they are ready to answer any question, big or small, about your roofing process or business in general. First question. What should I be looking for when I'm doing a roof inspection?
I mean, you're looking for reasons that the customer needs your services, right? Like that's pretty much the only reason you're there. But um, one thing we always tell our guys is don't sell someone something they don't need. So we're looking for legitimate reasons that they need a roof replacement, or legitimate reasons a simple repair could get them fixed and get them 5, 10 more years. So we don't really sell repairs. So we have a couple of, I'd call them competitors, but they're not really competitors, that we do send repairs to. If we see that the customer, that's what would serve them best, then that's what we do. But we're looking for any sort of damage, wear and tear, exposed fiberglass in the shingles, broken or missing tabs, anything of that nature, to find reasons that we can be the solution to their problem.
Yeah, I always talk about it with our team, Allie, as like an exchange of information where when we go to do an inspection, or go just meet with a property owner, we're looking to gather information from the property owner because the property owner has some specifics that they're looking for. And then we're going to gather information from the property itself, whether it's the roof, siding, windows, doors, whatever. And then that exchange of information, getting information from the property owner, getting information from the property, allows us to formulate a proposal that we feel not only meets and addresses the needs of the consumer, but it also is the appropriate system and diagnosis for the actual property as well. So, and then obviously the final exchange is us putting it all together in a nice, neat proposal and relaying that information over the customer with a few options. That way they can make an educated decision. So, we could probably sit here for a couple hours and talk about the minute little details that we're looking for. But for me, it's always been about an exchange of information from the property owner, and then information from the property to put together an appropriate proposal with a good diagnosis of the actual system itself as well.
Fantastic. Hi, John. Thanks for joining. We did just have a question here. What should you be looking for when you're doing roof inspections?
Storm or retail?
Could be either. I'll let John take it.
I don't think it even matters if it's storm or retail, really. I mean, if there's damage up there, we should still be pointing it out, whether it's a retail deal or a, storm related inspection. But I mean, big thing that I always try to look for is, ventilation. Does the roof currently have a balanced ventilation system? If it doesn't, that's something that you need to make sure that you are pointing out to them, addressing with them. And, if you're the first guy out, like I can almost promise you that anybody else that comes after that is probably not going to spend enough time on talking about the importance of a balanced ventilation system and things. But aside from that, like our inspections, they are primarily retail focused. And we're taking a look at, the pitch of the roof. We're looking at the amount of hardware that needs to be replaced on the roof. We're, if there's any kind of like squirrel gnaw marks or anything like that on any of the pipe boots and stuff, we're going to talk about that and show them photos of that and let them know how we prevent that with our roofs. And I'm going to turn it over to the other two gentlemen.
They
They're,
already
they're like they're like chomping at the bit.
Oh
Oh, they
yeah.
already answered?
They answered flawlessly. Yes, of
Oh my
course.
goodness. So,
All right, next question. Should you specialize in a specific type of roofing material or technique?
I don't believe so. I mean, I believe that I believe you can get too niche at some things. For me, I like roofing. I like doing metal, shingles, rubber. We don't do tile. We don't do, but it's not really relevant where we live. Um, but there's other than just a few not real relatable circumstances, we if it's a roof, we're probably willing to tackle it. So now we don't get into much else, but we will do a roof no matter what it is, pretty much in our area.
Yeah, I'm with Scott. I'm a big volume guy, so I want the volume. And if the masses are it like where John's at, if the masses are tiles, I'm going to focus a lot of my energy on tile. Where me and Scott are, the majority of our focus goes into asphalt because it's just what the majority of the marketplace is. So I want to get really, really good at what the majority of property owners in our area have, and then also be versed in standing seam tile, specialty products like Da Vinci and Brava and stuff like that. So I'm with Scott. If it's a roof, I want to be able to do it, but really make sure that our team is trained and really good on the meat and potatoes of our marketplace, and not get so niche that we like exclude ourselves from the majority of buyers in the marketplace. I want to and crush as much volume as possible without pigeonholing ourselves to just do like specialty roofs or something like that.
I think I think specialty roofing is going to become a lot more of a thing, especially as PE is starting to really dip into the roofing space and things quite a bit. Because end of the day, like asphalt shingles are such a commodity item. Anybody and everybody can do asphalt shingles, but what is going to be your standout service? What is going to be your specialization that, people are going to call you for over, any other Joe Schmo roofer down the block that, can put on an asphalt shingle roof. So, well, I kind of agree with what everybody's saying in regard to like not having a true specialization. I do think that it's going to become all the more important as, PE becomes a bigger part of this space. So I'll just leave it at that.
It makes perfect sense to me. How do you determine whether decking needs to be replaced?
When your foot goes through it, that's usually a
That'll
good
do
sign.
it.
No, that I mean, it's man, if you're putting roofs on, you don't know when to replace the sheeting, you should probably not be putting roofs on. So it's pretty obvious if it's soft. I mean, the I guess the real answer to the question is if it won't hold a nail or hold the weight of you walking on it, then it's probably no good because the purpose of the deck is structure and nail pull. So as long as it can hold the nails that you're putting in it with strength and carry the weight that you're putting on it with strength, then it should be good, I would assume. So I think that's the right answer to the question.
Anybody else got anything else? Or are we co-signing that?
uh, Anytime that it's affecting the structural integrity of the property, it's got to go. And we're big proponents of replacing entire sheets versus just like cutting out like a small rotten section. So normally, if even if it's like a little 16, 18-inch section, we normally yank the entire sheet and install a full sheet.
Okay. How often are you guys kind of having to go back to jobs that maybe somebody else, like your competition, did to fix something? Is that something that you guys experience in your day to day?
If they hired our competition, they can call our competition back to fix their roof.
Yeah,
Or
I
if
guess.
not, there's a real life situation that's happened to me, and this is not a lie. My neighbor, like where my shop was at, the guy lived dead across the street, didn't get a quote from us. And he just hated that we were in that building. He didn't like that we had so many trucks parked there and stuff. But anyway, this has been 6 years ago. He didn't even get a quote from us. He hired literally our biggest competitor. And about 2 months later, he called the office and they wouldn't come back and fix some flashing that was leaking. And so he wanted us to come fix it. And I called him back and said, absolutely not. So if you didn't even bother to get a quote from me, I'm not coming and fixing your stuff now. So yeah, I mean, we get some that we do. That's a one-off situation for me. I don't mind going out and replacing somebody else's screw ups as long as I can put a good warranty on the work that I'm going to do and I can get paid a fair wage to do it. I'll go do it. I don't have a problem with that. But um, some might call me spiteful sometimes. Maybe that's the problem.
Yeah, I'm not as hardcore as Scott. I'll do anything. The only
That's
thing that I
one
won't
time.
do,
One time.
the only thing that I won't do, which I really hate, is when attorneys call us or something like that, and they want to use our word as some type of I don't know what the proper terminology is, but like an expert witness, I guess.
Like social proof.
Yeah, that like somebody did something wrong. I'm not getting involved in that. I refuse to. I'm not going to highly document something that's going to be leveraged in a legal battle or something. It's just I don't feel like having people do that to me, so I don't want to do that to them. But if somebody's got a problem, we're going to take care of it. And our competitors, trust me, they love getting a phone call saying that CR3 replaced the roof and now they're having issues. So yeah, I'm not as spiteful as Scott. I'll do it as long as it makes sense.
Fair enough. What about you, Star? Anything different or?
There's got to be a pretty good compelling reason for us to go back after another contractor and things. And we run into it down here from times like companies go out of business. There's one right here in my backyard that literally has been out of business for the last 2 years that we've been going back and kind of righting some of the wrongs that was caused by that. But just like these guys, I mean, if it makes sense to do, and you know, as long as the other company is no longer around and stuff, we'll do it. But if they are, like, maybe kind of crappy of me to say, but like, they chose wrong for the first time.
This is a good time to bring up the warranty discussion, though, because I will say, listen, we don't care. I am like Carney. I had one situation where I was so over that guy. So anyway, with GAF, if a company is a master elite, they put a gold pledge warranty on it. Customer pays for it, and that company goes out of business. There is a large company that did like 25,000 squares a year, and they went out of business. They have, everybody's got warranty issues. Over time, you put on 25,000 squares, you're going to have warranty issues, period. And GAF, we have become kind of their preferred partner in this area, that when one of those companies that are no longer exists, they call us and we go quote that job to GAF and they pay us. And I'll be honest, I know some guys don't like GAF, don't like the product, whatever, and that's okay. We all have our preferences, but when the manufacturer calls me, says, "Hey, go look at this," and I straight tell them on the phone, it needs a full replacement. This is a terrible job. I'm not putting a warranty on it unless I can replace the full thing. I send them a $12,000 quote and they approve it the same day. I can't speak much higher to a big corporation's values than that. So, and it happens often with us. I wouldn't say often, but maybe 10 to 12 a year. So a fair amount. So it's a nice little piece of business for us.
Yeah, totally. And when you guys are having to correct your competition's mistakes, what types of mistakes are they making typically?
Well, this one was simply the one that was recent that I'm speaking of. They literally I don't know what the original issue was because they went back to fix it and they just put another layer of shingles on the entire roof. And that's why I told GAF the only way I'll do it is if I can tear the whole thing off and start from scratch. So I don't even know what the legitimate real issue was, but typically it's just poor workmanship. It's guys that just don't know what they're doing. They don't know how to flash a chimney properly. They don't, they got shiners. They've got, just these little things that it's just, they're guys that put, 4 roofs on a year and do bathrooms and kitchens and decks and, do everything. And they're just not real well versed. And if a roof's semi-complicated and you're not well versed, then we're going to find out. That's what's going to happen. So
I've seen entire roofs before that have no nails.
mhm.
And I saw an entire roof before where the nails were all at the top portion of the shingle and not in like the common bond area. They were all the way at the very, very top because I guess it made sense to them to not have the nails lower and hide them up higher underneath another shingle. And we literally tore the entire thing off like a blanket. It was a hot summer day, and the whole entire thing just came up in one big sheet on the front and one big sheet in the back. So,
Yeah.
we
So
we've seen it all. I've seen quite a few roofs over on the eastern shore of Maryland, which I don't know why this is very common over there, but they'll take old cedar shakes and they'll put like 2 or 3 layers of asphalt shingles over top of it, and then eventually they most logical people would say it's time to tear it off and like sheet the whole thing. Well, what we see a lot is they actually take a sheet of plywood and go over top of all of that roofing and then stack another 2 or 3 layers on it. And then by the time we get to it, it's like 3.5 inches thick and like 7 or 8 layers of shingles. So I've actually seen that one probably a dozen times in the last 4 to 5 years, just in that one specific region of the United States.
Wow.
most of the mistakes we kind of correct, they are around flashings and things. And another big one that we've run into quite a bit around here is not hand sealing like mansard roofs, not hand sealing the shingles on mansards. Um, Beyond that, though, I mean, it's just shortcut type stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense. We did have a question here. Let's see. Have you ever explored recurring revenue streams within the residential side of roofing? I've seen annual maintenance and gutter cleaning work really well through HOAs, but not so much on residential.
That's the same thing that I've run into. Like we can get it done on HOAs, because in those situations, it'll make sense in those. But I'd love to hear what these other guys have to say about how they can kind of get some recurring revenue from residential projects.
Our
I
only
didn't
recurring go ahead, Carney.
I didn't hear the question, so Scott, you answer it, and I'll try and fill in the blanks.
Yeah,
My
so
dog was throwing up.
the only recurring revenue that we chase is not we don't do anything with gutter cleaning. We don't do anything, none of that. Commercial maintenance packages. We've kind of attempted it in the past, and it just wasn't our cup of tea. Just wasn't what we wanted to do. The only recurring revenue stuff that we do is try to target repeat customers. So property management companies, universities. We do some stuff with some different universities because they own 80 buildings, different things like that. That's where we really try to focus is getting with those property management companies and people that own a lot of buildings, or government agencies. That's honestly, that's a huge part of our business is these government agencies that work inside the residential sector.
Yeah, that's one of the big things that we preach is the reoccurring revenue in residential roofing is very limited. I mean, if you call reoccurring revenue a referral base, but I don't think most of us classify that. So that's why we're super big on diversification. We don't just do roofing. We do roofing, siding, windows, doors, and gutters, full turnkey exteriors. That way, if somebody hired us for the windows, we can do their siding one day, or they hired us for their roof, we can do their siding one day, right? So we really try to leverage the multiple trades and creating a great customer experience and a means to stay engaged with these people long term. That way, we get some type of repeat business in additional trades because the reoccurring revenue in the roofing industry specifically is very far and few between. Besides what Scott said, we have some key relationships with large real estate development companies, and those guys help to give us a little bit of business, but you're not going to leverage your entire company on one or two or maybe three big relationships, and you're not going to make strategic growth decisions around those relationships either. So I'm real big on diversification. That way we can get repeat business, which is probably, in my opinion, the closest thing to reoccurring revenue in our industry.
That makes sense. Thanks for the question. If you guys have any other ones, feel free to pop them into the Q&A here, as we love to answer the questions live. It's a lot more fun that way. Let's see. So should you do a walkthrough with a client of the new roof? Or like, what is your process with that?
Every time. Absolutely. Like that's we call it the closeout. You that's how we get paid. That's how we do our business with no deposits. That's how it all revolves around that. So part of our automations is once the job's complete, the customer gets a text and email saying, "Hey, your job's complete. We'll be out within the next business day to come take a look at it. Is there a day or time that would be best for you? Any issues at this point?" I think that's almost verbatim. And that gives us an opportunity to already know if there's an issue that they're not happy with. We can potentially come prepared to address that on the spot. The last thing it says, please have final payment ready. Because that's literally, we're going there. We want to walk it with you. We want to make sure you're happy with everything. There's no shrubs smashed, windows scratched, whatever. If that's the case, we're leaving with a check. So our business basically revolves around closing it out. And that's when we get to do our final documentation too. We can take all those final photos of everything we touched and didn't touch. They can't come back 2 months later and say that, their gutter's damaged. And this has happened. They called us a couple months later saying their gutter was damaged and it was from us. We had pictures, luckily. It wasn't us. We looked next door. There's a freaking tree that had been uprooted next door. It was clearly a limb off that tree. But if you don't do your final documentation and do that, the likelihood of having issues down the road is very high. And I also believe that closeout is what increases your chances of getting a 5-star review. You can get it right there.
Absolutely. Anybody else?
I mean, Scott kind of said it all. I mean, it is so important to do a final walk. And I mean, the only thing I'll add to that is, you want to schedule that pretty much like 24 to 48 hours after everything wraps up, if not day of. So don't let people sit on that. Don't let people like look at it longer than they've actually had it and stuff. I mean, go get your money and do your walkthrough, because the longer the people take to pay for things, the more they're going to find ways to pick it apart, the more they're going to keep thinking about it. But the moment that it gets paid for, they stop worrying about it because it's done, it's paid for. They can move on to the next thing.
Yeah, makes sense to me.
Yeah, I'm with these guys. The only thing that I would add is we try to do it the day of the install. Sometimes it's not always achievable, depending on our guys' availability, depending on the customer's availability. But best case scenario is you're able to walk it before that with the customer before that crew leaves. Because the second that crew leaves, if anything needs to be fixed, it can be a pain in the ass trying to get those guys back. Or maybe your guy doesn't have the capabilities of making those small minor repairs. So we always try to do it before the crew leaves. That way, if anything needs to be addressed, we can just go ahead and address it real quick before the guys pack up, take their tools, and move on to the next job site. So that's the only thing that I would add is if you have the ability to do it, I believe that same day is always the best case before that crew leaves.
Yeah. Sounds like the theme here is just being proactive and kind of staying on top of things. So that makes sense. How can you use financing to close more jobs?
Get people without money.
How do you pitch that to them? Like, what's your word track on that?
So for us, it's about like consulting them and making sure they understand financial literacy, which a lot of people don't. And then my favorite is, we don't like to finance things, but their entire life is financed. Their vehicles are financed. Their house is financed. They pay a monthly payment and subscription to Amazon Prime and Netflix and their phone bill. All of us in 2025 are monthly payment people, like we just are. So I I am 31 years old and I finance almost everything, unless for whatever reason the interest rate is way too high and then it doesn't make sense. But anytime I can borrow the bank's money, I like to borrow it. So it's just really teaching people about finances. Most people don't know a whole lot about finances. Now you're going to get that one or two stubborn customers that are a little bit older and they just simply don't want to finance no matter what, and you're not going to retrain their brain. But I think a lot of it comes down to education and making it make sense for them not to spend their money or overextend themselves, and you don't have to lose a ton of sleep at night as long as you can make this payment of $189 a month. You can get this system done. We can get it done today, and then you can pay it off whenever. There's no prepayment, early payment penalties, no back interest, nothing like that. So I think the majority of what it comes down to is educating and then just simply offering. Like most people, if you don't offer it, just assume that you don't offer financing. So one of the big things that we recognized pretty early on is a lot of the reps that struggled to finance weren't properly offering financing at the table.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Scott, John?
We certainly don't finance enough deals. But we do definitely try to bring it up more than just at the end whenever we're actually talking about price. So, and we do have some automations and things set up to go out beforehand to kind of like push them to get pre-approved before our inspector even arrives. So, those are just some of the things that we try to do. But I will say a lot of people get caught up on the idea of like, oh, what do you mean you don't have 0% for 18 months? And like we do, but we don't really offer it because like we really try to like push people more towards like the longer term loans and just tell them like, hey, if you pay it off quicker, like it's going to be like paying a very, very low interest rate. But um, in the event that you get behind or you have a change in careers or you never know what life is going to throw your way. So just letting them know that they're not going to be strangled by a big payment in the event that they do get behind on something else or something else crops up. So
It makes sense to me. Anybody else got anything to add on this one, or are we comfortable moving to the next?
I hate financing. We're terrible at it, so I wouldn't. I love the idea. We just are really bad at it, so I don't want to muddy the waters.
Totally fair. All right, another question
Can we
in.
talk about that real quick?
Yeah.
Dive in.
Because I think the reason that I don't think I know, because like I don't think that we're very good at it either. And I think the reason that is the way that it is the companies that are really good at financing, and Scott and John, I'd like your guys' opinion on this, but it seems like they have very hard selling tactics. It's not a very genuine transaction. It's more about just ramming your way through it and presenting them with a payment option and just getting them to sign it before they can even realize what they just signed. So I feel like that's pretty consistent when we talk to people is like, yeah, we all offer financing. We feel confident offering it, but it's not 80% of our deals like a lot of these big orgs that are super high pressure.
That's honestly why we're not good at it. So the only thing we do religiously, and it's through ProLine on the appointment reminder automation, we send them, one of the messages is explaining the financing options that we can offer them. And so we do sell it. I mean, I'm not saying we don't do it. We do maybe 2 deals a month through financing, maybe 3. It's not a lot. But our sales tactic is we just want to get you to trust us, get to know you, build a relationship. And that's just, I feel like it's a difficult conversation, no matter how good of a sales rep you are, to say, you're essentially, can you afford it or not? Because if you can't afford it, I can help you afford it. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of the route the conversation goes. And it's just, and I know Chris Scoville has some great stuff on his school that kind of work around those hurdles. But And we hope to get better. Like that's a goal. That's a goal this year is over winter to work on some of those things to try to get better at that. But it's just we haven't been super successful at it. Our close rates company wide are 38%. So I mean, it's not like it's killing our close rate not being successful with it. Would it be great to get to 44% because we offer financing in a little bit more polished of a way? Sure. Um, but we just haven't got there yet, to be honest.
I think a lot of us kind of do what the industry dictates or just what we're kind of used to. Like if we would have all been brought up in like the HVAC world, I think, you know, e almost every single one of those customers are financing their HVAC, and like whenever you're looking at something like roofing and you're comparing the costs of roofing to HVAC, I mean, it is exponentially higher to get your roof replaced under most circumstances than it is to get your, AC replaced. Um, so I really think it just comes with your mindset and like us having a shift to like really just, you know, focus on the actual monthly and move away from the overall like just total cost of the project. If even like cars and stuff too. I mean, you go in and buy a car, you're looking at the monthly rate. You're not looking at the actual cost of the car as much as you like, what it is, but whenever they break it down into affordable chunks that you can actually live with, that you can budget for, I don't know. Um, I would refer everybody over to Chris Scoville for that. He's the goat with all that stuff.
Shout out, Chris. Love it, love it. Okay, we
We
did
got
have
the
a
same
question.
haircut too.
Yeah, perfect. With the rapid advancement of drone technology in roofing, do you see drone inspections eventually replacing traditional walk-on inspections? Or will physically walking on the roof always remain the most reliable method for assessing roof conditions?
I think over time, technology is going to take over every aspect in some manner. But it's just, I think we were talking 5 years ago, guys like Adam Sands were saying 5 years ago that in 5 years, there weren't going to be sales reps. You were going to sell everything virtually. It was going to be like Amazon. Here's 5 years ago. We're still not there. Do I think that day comes? Sure. But I don't think we're close. I think we're a long ways from it. And I think the human element is always going to be wanted to some degree. And I think inspections kind of follow that same suit. I think a lot of people will trust the technology and they'll appreciate that, what kind of inspection they got. But I think there's still going to be customers that will literally put you off because you just threw a drone in the air and you didn't get up there and actually see what was going on. So I I think yes, it very well could. I just think it's still a long ways off. Even with, I mean, this new Eagle View drone that's out is incredible. I've seen a lot of demos of it and different things. I just don't think it'll be anytime soon that it's going to completely take over.
I think now that the government is banning DJI drones, I mean, I think that's going to push things back a little bit because Skydio is not at the level that DJI is, man. It's some craziness going on, but there's nothing better than getting up on a roof and getting to touch it and feel it and like see what's really going on with it and things, I mean, drones aren't going to be able to replace that. Do I think that you can do an estimate without getting on a, absolutely. But if you want it to be really, really accurate, like there's no real replacement for physically getting on it and doing your inspection that way.
Sounds to
I
me.
th- I think that the insurance carriers are going to eliminate inspectors, and I think that they're going to leverage drones as like the source of truth, um, because they're going to trust that more than they're going to trust the opinion of an independent adjuster or a third party ladder assist. The amount of money that these insurance companies pay people like Seek Now and Hancock and those guys, I think I think drones are going to replace that, because I think that there's a liability issue with insuring guys going up and down on roofs all day long. There's issues of people causing damage with ladders, crushing gutters. And I feel that they believe that they can trust the technology, even though technology can fail. I believe that they're going to trust the technology more than they're going to trust the human. So I think in some parts of our business, it's really going to put a hurting on it. But to these guys' points, like, how do you know that substrate's compromised if you can't touch it and feel it and walk on it and feel where it's given? Um, I mean, is it going to be able to properly diagnose that there's 3/8 inch plywood on it and it's not 7/16 or half inch CDX? Like, I don't know how it's ever going to be able to truly be able to do that. I think that there's going to be businesses that are going to be built on it that will be very successful at doing it, but I don't believe that it's going to just take over the entire marketplace where no human's ever going to walk on a roof ever again.
It'll be interesting to kind of see how it evolves, truly. Thanks for the
Crazy
question,
for
Joe.
that plywood question that you guys had earlier. Nobody mentioned the thickness of plywood, but
Wow. A missed opportunity, truly.
yep, swinging a
Unreal.
miss.
Yeah. No cigar. Can you use cold calling for roofing sales?
We got 6 agents calling every single day. We call about 40,000 people a day. So yeah, you can.
Fantastic. How much success are you having with that versus maybe like door to door or, other kind of methods?
Well, it's
Yeah, Carney,
expensive.
what kind of a success are you getting?
It's expensive. It costs a lot of money to run a call center. Depending on how many agents that you're looking at, you're to at least see sizable difference in your marketing. In my opinion, you got to spend 15 to 25 grand a month. So it's an expensive setup. It's a very extensive learning curve, because it's a whole entire business when you bolt a call center onto your business. There's literally call centers that do lead aggregation. That's an entire business model. So if you're thinking about bolting that onto your roofing company, if you're not afraid to drive yourself absolutely nuts for 6 to 12 months, then go for it, and you got the capital to do it. But I love it. I think the speed at which we're able to deploy it, it allows us to get into marketplaces whenever we want. If Allie's house got hit with hail and I had a presence there, I could be calling there in 6 hours, and we could be digitally knocking on every single door that exists. So I love the call center. It's a big part of our marketing strategy. It funnels right into all of our other marketing, and it's kind of like it's just everything funnels either down into it, and it funnels down into it in some capacity. So we love it. We leverage the heck out of it. And there's days where we generate 5 leads from it, and we've had days where we've generated 15 leads from it. So it really just depends. It is a sizable investment, but I love the call center. It's one of my favorite things that I've done. I know a lot of people that have failed with them, because if you don't take the time to understand it, manage it properly, understand where the data is coming from, refine scripts, how you're calling, when you're calling, who's calling, you're firing, training, and hiring agents all day, every day. So if you can embrace that, you can have a lot of fun with it. But it's I love it, but it's a beast to try and tame, for sure.
Yeah. Gotta pay to play. Gotta pay to play. Awesome. Anybody else got any input on that one?
We
No?
tried it and was 100% no success. So, but we don't have storms, and I'm Carney, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe call centers are not as effective in a retail environment as they are after a storm or shortly after a storm. That's what I've seen a lot of people have success with it in, and we just don't get storms to make that kind of effect.
So
Yeah, we haven't found that storms are geographical location seems to be like the big thing. We have some locations that the call center doesn't perform very well at all, and others where it's incredible. Storm or no storm, it seems like it's either gonna perform or it's not. But storms for sure, they're like rocket fuel, because we can call in a day and we can set up 25 or 30 appointments after a fresh storm, versus just randomly cold calling. You set up 5 to 8 in the same neighborhood.
Yeah.
So I've always been pretty opposed to call centers and trying to utilize that for us. And the big reason is I've gotten calls from like these roofing company call centers, and I'm like, man, I do not want to be having the company represented like that. Like, pass, hard pass.
How
So
many times has AccuLinks called you guys in the last 90 days?
Did they email me and call me like 5 times a week?
enough.
Mhm. Last call for questions here, guys. If you have anything popping in your brain here, put into the Q&A. Otherwise, I'll just ask these gentlemen, New Year's resolution, either personal or business or both, if you feel comfortable. What are we wanting to do or change in the new year?
I'll start. I came up with mine yesterday. I was sitting around thinking about it, and I got into running this past year a little bit, like distance running. And my goal is to do an ultra marathon, so 50K or bigger. So I'm I'm wanting to try to do that. I I've actually got my eyes on one that's in January that I'd love to do. I just don't know that I'm going to be prepared for it. So I'm probably going to have to push a little bit and get my body in a little better shape before I get to that.
January is a little close, you know?
It's January like 24th. Yeah, I'm like I've had my eyes on it for a bit, but now I just don't think I'm ready. I did a half marathon. I did 14 miles and my body was feeling it. So I need to get up a little bit higher in my mileage before I attempt it.
At least your black eyes healed, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
That's
I'm not getting beat up anymore.
what
Actually, that's
about
going to change here in about a week, so I'll probably come in with at least
with
one more
both?
black eye. Yeah, maybe.
Right. Mm. What about business? You care to share that one?
You know, I'm boring when it comes to business anymore. And it's actually I love that my life got boring with business because we just built a really good team and a good system, and we've organically grew every year. As I've taken my foot off the gas, the company has still grown. Um, and I've lost a little bit of that fire to set the world on fire in business. I make fantastic money. I like the lifestyle that I have. I get to compete in jiu-jitsu. I get to compete in running. I get to do all, I enjoy that stuff. So, my goal for business is just to keep going the direction we're going, just keep organically growing, keep building, a killer team that has really high values that if they want to succeed, the business grows. That's what it is. I've already got the tools in place. If they're willing to utilize the tools and they have the mindset of success, we grow.
I love that. Well, to the moon, Mr. T-Bay. What about you, Carney? What you got?
Um, I got a funny one. I want to remove myself from all this bullshit that I keep seeing on the internet of all these influencers in the roofing space and all their drama. I just unfollowed like 5 of them yesterday. So I'm cleansing myself of all these idiots in the industry. So that's my New Year's resolution.
And a beautiful one at that. All right, last but certainly not least, Mr. Starry.
So my personal goal is just to maintain my pristine male form, and I'm going to train up a little bit more this year. I see Scott over there laughing.
You'll
That
be at
way,
the January marathon, I'm
that
sure.
way, that way, when Scott and I have our rematch, I'll be able to hold my own again. And
Give him 2 black eyes this time.
I
Boo.
mean, dude, at least. Uh, but no, I mean, realistically, personally, like I just want to do away with all processed foods and stuff. Like I don't want to put any of that crap in me anymore. So that's my big thing. I try not to reach too deep, you know. Um, but on the business side of things, I'm not really looking for growth. I'm looking to just maintain and just hold on to consistency and things. There's some things that we can refine from here, and there's some measures that I can put in place to kind of increase accountability, and I think that'll kind of help us maintain where we are. I don't see the roofing industry really, going scorched earth next year or anything like that. I think this is going to be a real trying year for everybody across the industry. And I'm just going to do everything that I can to make sure that we set ourselves apart and we maintain the success that we found here this year. So,
I love that. Very on brand. I don't know if you guys are aware, but 2025 was allegedly the year of the snake. So it's all about shedding and getting rid of things that don't serve you or give you purpose. And then 2026 is the year of the horse. So it's all about taking that knowledge and moving forward with it and really just kind of going all in. So I feel good about 2026. I don't know about y'all.
Amen, sister.
Awesome. Well, as always, thank you guys so much for joining today. We'll be right back at it next Monday at 4:30. And very, very happy New Year to all. See you next week.
See
Bye,
you guys.
guys.
see you next
Thanks,
year.
guys.
Next year. I know, that's crazy.